Welcome into the Sunbelt Syndicate, the OG edition. Hopefully we got TJ joining us right now. I think I can hear you. No, you can't hear me at all. I can hear you now.
Let's see.
Yeah, I can hear you on your end. So let's see what's going on with that. I will do the intro as we get this going. That's why we went a couple minutes late for those of you that were right here on time at 8:30. But we are trying to get that technical difficulty figured out. But again, Sunbelt Syndicate, the OG with Dominick, Crosetto, and Mr. TJ Courman. Hopefully he can hear me here in a second and we can really get going strong for you guys. In the meantime, check out our sponsors, Don't Sleep Energy. They have their own website. And again, they can be found on Amazon as well. Get that delivered right to your doorstep. Get that energy, little shot bottles. And they also got the big stuff for you if you want the entire drink. And they've also got some merch. So if you're in the need for some cool merch that nobody else has got, Don't Sleep's the place to find it. Phenom Elite at your local Dick's Sporting Goods and also at Phenom Elite online as well. Got all your stuff for your football needs for the young kid or high schooler in your life who's looking for some new gloves or some new cleats to stand out. Phenom Elite is the type of cleats that they're going to want. Trust me, they're going to stand out and look a little bit better. As we know, we had the James Madison game against Texas State last night, and we will definitely be talking about that one in this show this evening. Let's go through that playbook. We will get back to kind of the regularly scheduled show, and obviously this one's off to a wonky start here as we have the technical difficulties. But the playbook consists of looking good. These are the teams over the past week or last night, as we know with Texas State and JMU, that we thought had been looking good coming into this week. Come on, bro. This is the opposite. These are the teams that we need to see more from, or they're on a downturn and they need to get it fixed and figured out going the rest of the way. We've got our games of the week to present to you. The teams that better win, right? There's some teams out there that are expected to win with where they're at and where their opponent is coming into this week. We will also round it out with the other games that kind of don't fit into either one of those categories. So we'll definitely get you all throughout the Sun Belt, no matter what type of game we're seeing. And we'll obviously finish up with Best Bets, one of our new favorite segments as we've gone on. I think we've had some decent success. I'm actually going to have to go back and put some of those things together to see who's between TJ and I, who's been winning more of these bets. If I had to venture a guess, I'm going to put my money on TJ because he knows the game pretty well, knows what he's talking about. And I would just assume that it's going to be him that would be the better of the two in that one. Obviously, we do have clips for TJ to break down. He's been sent those earlier today. If we can get him figured out and started up, we will obviously jump into those as soon as he's ready. In the meantime, we'll talk about this game between Texas State and James Madison that we saw on national television last night. Unfortunately for the home team there down in San Marcos, Texas State did not get back to the winning ways. They continue to struggle, and they struggled in this one here as well. Completely shut out in the second half of this game. This one was definitely in question and competitive up until halftime. And then when James Madison came out after halftime, it wasn't even close. Alonzo Barnett III absolutely went off in this one, not just through the air, also had a really good game on the ground as well. So through the air, didn't even have to pass that much. 12 of 18 for 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have that one interception, if I remember correctly, kind of bounced up. No, that wasn't. I think that was the other way around. But regardless, one interception, not too bad. 94 QBR still. As you guys know, the ones that are here every week, I'm not really leaning into the QBR stat too much. But he also had 10 carries for 98 yards, just missed that century mark by 2 yards. Probably could have had it if he wasn't taken out in the backfield a few times. He did get a touchdown, and he also had a long run of 51 yards, and that one was really impressive. We know he's coming back from injury after last season, and to run like that and run away from a defender and it just surprised me that he was still able to get to that speed and have that breakaway ability that he showed last night. Wayne Knight also had a great game, but in a weird way, really didn't light up the scorecard too much. Only 13 carries for just 48 yards. He did have a big one that was in the air, and so he went only 2 catches, but had 69 yards on the night. But the only other person that you could maybe debate for player of the game, I think it's always going to be Barnett by almost everyone's account. But Nick DeJaneiro, 3 receptions, okay? Just 3 catches all night, but 101 yards and 2 of them for touchdowns. One of them was 76 yards all by itself. So he could not be stopped or slowed down. He's had some games where he's kind of stuck out and been very noticeable, but Landon Ellis has really been their main wide receiver threat, and he was relatively held in check last night. Just 2 receptions for 37 yards. Didn't get a touchdown on the board there, and maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I would assume that's mainly because Texas State really focused on him, and I think Texas State, I remember seeing this right. Yeah, just a quick mental math here, is the first team to put up over 300 yards of offense on this James Madison defense. I know that, maybe some people wanted to hold on to that fact and have something to hammer home and argue when you're looking at CFP and everything else that could come out of this. But when you win 52-20, that stat really doesn't matter anymore because you're getting reps from guys deeper on your roster. So it's still a quality win. There's nothing disappointing about it on the Duke side of things. 52-20, wrapping it up there. Texas State needs to badly figure out what's going on the defensive side. Offense had been looking good, and like I said, up until halftime, looked like they could threaten. They had a little bit of a slow start. Didn't score anything in the first quarter. 20 points in the second, and then nothing in the third and fourth, which was just shocking. I knew that this one was going to favor JMU offensively against that Texas State defense. I did not see Texas State only scoring 20 points. Obviously, a huge credit to that defensive front by the Dukes and how they've been able to shut down a lot of opponents this year. But this one was extra impressive as they went all the way on the road in what is their longest road trip of the year down to Texas State to take them on in this one. I'm still waiting on TJ to jump in. He's apparently starting the whole computer. So hopefully that fixes whatever little glitch we're having here, and we can get rolling along further for you guys. In the meantime, we will take a look at the standings, the up-to-date, up-to-the-minute standings. We just had that game last night on a Tuesday. We're here Wednesday night live with you. If you're watching the video aspect, if you're listening to us on the audio, not only are you going to get these standings today, you got a game tonight on Thursday night between Marshall and Coastal Carolina, who are sitting respectively at 2nd and 3rd in the East. Coastal sitting there at 3-1 currently in the conference. Marshall, having played one less game, they are a 2-1 overall record. Both 4-3 overall on the season in total. But again, JMU undefeated at 5-0, 7-1 overall record. That lone loss to what is now a ranked Louisville team. I did not think that they looked like a ranked team when James Madison played them, but that's full credit to both teams because JMU really wasn't as strong as they've been here recently in that game. Obviously going with that 2-quarterback set. A lot of question marks after that game from Dukes fans, but they found it out. They found their rhythm. They did get almost tripped up there against Georgia State, but if that's only their closest game of the rest of the way, then they're going to look pretty good when it comes to an argument for the CFP if that comes to fruition. But they've not got just a completely easy road left. So we'll see what happens there. Just behind those 3 teams, we've got ODU at 2-2, and we have a lot of 1 loss or 0 win, or I'm sorry, 1 win or 0 win teams below that. And shockingly, at least to what people would have thought before the season started, I would say, App State, Georgia Southern both sit at 1-3. And the only team below them is Georgia State at 0-4 currently in the conference. We'll have to see what transpires in the East, but it does look like the top is set and the bottom is set, and there's just going to be a tiny bit of movement in the middle. So we'll see what ends up being the case when it all comes down to the end of the season. Over in the West Side, 2 undefeated teams tied atop the West right now with Southern Miss and Troy, both knotted at 4-0 records, and they're both actually sitting at 6-2 overall on the season as well. Arkansas State, the comeback kids, as we'll get to see here in just a minute, they are sitting at 3-1 in the second place position, all by their lonesome, 4-4 on the season. So not a great overall record, but they're looking pretty good within the conference right now. And our resident Arkansas State fan, Ben James, jumping in and joining the stream. He thinks Saturday is going to be interesting, and I do think it will. Warren throwing a Go Trojans up immediately after that, so that's great. We got everybody starting to pop in here and talk a little football with us. After those 3 teams, though, it's like the East Side over here. We got a bunch of 1-win teams or 0 wins, and shockingly enough, on the West Side, Texas State is 0-4, 3-5 overall in the season. I think if you ask most anybody, even people that wanted Texas State to lose, I still don't think you'd find people that thought they would be 0-4 within the conference itself at this point in time of the season. ULM, the Cajuns, and South Alabama all sitting at 1 win apiece. Currently, we know South Alabama got that first victory against the winless team in Georgia State the week previous. So we'll have to see what continues on that West Side, just like we will in the East. But yet again, I think you're seeing, the top 3 teams are kind of confirmed, and then we've got everybody else trying to sort out who's going to end up in the basement over there in the West. Ben asking where TJ's at. He's got a little technical glitch or difficulties trying to sort out, so he will be jumping in at any moment to try and get going back with us. I'm going to go through some of this stuff without him, and that way we can spend a little bit more time on the playbooks or plays that he dissects for us, because I think that's some of the more fun things to do. But we'll have to see when that happens. Looking at the teams that have been looking good as of late. We know James Madison. We just talked about them, but we'll rehash it real quick. Last night, another second half shutout. They've been doing that repeatedly here. So they've put themselves in good position already in first halves, but they have totally shut out opponents in the second half and been dominant on that defensive side to win games and get that thing closed out for the Dukes as they continue to go through their season. Troy stays undefeated in sunbelt play, as we just mentioned, at 4-0. Southern Miss shut down the Warhawks. They outscored them 28-7 in the second half of a 49-21 victory last weekend. That first half, pretty competitive, actually. I think ULM came out and established the type of game that they wanted to play. I believe if I can recall off the top of my head, ULM did score the opening touchdown in that game, and maybe had some Southern Miss fans kind of concerned, looking around like, hey, what's going on? But Southern Miss woke up. A great performance by Braylon Braxton in that one to get the easy victory in the end. And then, as we discussed just a minute ago, Arkansas State, the comeback kids, I think you can officially crown them. They continue to do it week after week. They outscored the Georgia Southern Eagles 17-3 in the second half of their 34-24 comeback victory last weekend. Ben thinks if any team in the West can give Southern Miss and Troy some trouble, it is the Red Wolves. And we'll have to see what transpires, as we will see Arkansas State match up with those Trojans this Saturday. It'll be the nightcap, as we'll get to here somewhat shortly. I'm going to try and slow it down so TJ can join us here, because this is his segment. This is Come On Bro. And their picture there is some of the Arkansas State versus Georgia Southern game there. So we know what's about to come with that one, but we'll touch on Georgia State first. 5 straight losses. This is a team that many didn't expect to be great coming into the season, but I think at this point you would have expected a little bit better of a record. I know Georgia State fans would have expected certainly a better record. And you're going to see a common theme here in this segment today, because there's a lot of teams on losing streaks, a lot of teams that need to get some stuff figured out. Georgia State's got the 5 straight losses. Now, after last night, we've got Texas State with 4 straight themselves. And we know both of those teams are currently winless within the conference. Obviously, Georgia State on the east side, Texas State over there on the west. ULM, after their loss to Southern Miss, also on a 4-game skid at this moment. And the Ragin' Cajuns, after Lunch Winfield came in and set the world on fire after that double overtime victory against Marshall a couple weeks ago, he's kind of cooled off, but really still a threat because his yards on the ground are still pretty impressive. It's just they need to get that wide receiver threat back, which they seem to probably be getting back in Sampson now. I just don't know if he's fully healthy just yet. You've got Walker Howard kind of coming back. He saw one pass last week, though, and threw an interception. So, I'm not sure if he's quite ready just yet. It seems like Lunch should still be the guy, and he can still get this team to the win column, but he needs help elsewhere. Defensively, we need the offensive line to block better for him before we see another win for the Cajuns as they're struggling. That Texas State and Cajun combo down there towards the bottom of the West is easily the most surprising thing for me at this point of the year. So we'll have to see if they can get out of that basement at any point in time. Ben saying he's still happy to see those Bobcats at the bottom of the West. And hopefully we can get to see – TJ, can you hear me on your side?
I can hear you. You got me?
I got you. Now we have a show, folks. Now we have a show.
I'm having to use my work computer because for whatever reason my personal laptop, I got to get it looked at because my sound isn't working and I can't talk or hear anybody, which is weird because this is the only thing I use it for, really, unless my son's been touching it, which I doubt. Or, well, I don't want to say I doubt it. It's possible. Very much possible.
It's possible. Well, what's funny is we could hear you, but you weren't talking, obviously, because you were trying to figure stuff out. But I ended up muting your mic, and I'm like, I know he can't hear us. So,
well, the only reason why you could hear me is because the mic that you gave me, I plugged that one in. So that mic started working.
Oh,
but
okay.
I still couldn't hear. There was no sound coming from you. So I was like, all right, this is something technical. It obviously works, but I don't know. Right. So I'll get it fixed. So this is why you have my work virtual background. So just so you guys know.
Not your virtual background, TJ. That's your very fancy schmancy home you have there. That's what that is.
I wish it was.
It is nice looking. It's a very nice looking house there. You got the nice fireplace set up with the rock features. Yeah, nice,
cozy. All I need is an App State sticker over the fireplace, and we'll be good.
There you go, or a TV. I like TVs over the fireplace. Nice look. Too. Yeah, a couple of them when you got a football Saturday going on. I started going through some of the stuff because I didn't know how long we were going to be without you, but I do want to jump back just to the standings and just get your thoughts on what we're looking at there because I think that's only fair. We'll skip the looking good and come on, bro, since I kind of covered those two, but just anything that sticks out to you. I said, just to rehash where we've been, that Texas State and the Cajuns being towards the bottom of the West is easily the most surprising thing to me. But go off on anything you're seeing on the standing side of things that sticks out to you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, Texas State and South Alabama being at the bottom of the West. I mean, you said it already. It's one of those things where if you would have told me this last year, I'd have laughed in your face. Especially Texas Tech being one, or Texas State. Sorry, not Texas Tech. Being 3-5 and 0-4 in conference play. I mean, if you told me that last year, I'd have laughed you off the set. That said, though, that's where we are. And I mean, I keep going back to it. Hope Destiny's listening. But Southern Miss being at the top of the bracket, listen, quality wins, quality play so far. On the east side, Georgia Southern being way down at the bottom, I'm not too much surprised at App State. 4-4 average record. We're an average football team, right? Like, and it's going to take a while for as frustrating as it is for me, for us as fans, it's going to take us a little bit to get the momentum going. JMU does not surprise me at all being at the top. The Shants don't surprise me being 4-3. I will say the biggest surprise, however, is the gap between JMU and everybody else. Like it's considerably, like it's easily a gap, right? Like it's JMU and then there's everybody else. So I didn't expect that to be the case, but here we are.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least on what has transpired to get them there. I was noting their only loss was to that Louisville team that's now ranked nationally, and I think also 7-1 by themselves. And guess what? Louisville's only loss to a 7-1 nationally ranked Virginia team. So if they continue as that being their only loss, and Louisville and Virginia continue on their streaks, that loss is going to look better and better as you get along because, now you've got Memphis out there with a loss to UAB, right? Like Memphis took down USF, but you still get knocked down a peg for losing to a bad UAB team. Obviously, they had the coaching change and Dilfer's out, and I don't know off the top of my head. I don't even know who took Dilfer's place. I'm sure it's a guy already on staff and whatever, but I'm not sure who it is.
I'm not either. I would have to look it up. But to note the one note about the Louisville loss by JMU, Louisville ended up beating Miami a couple weeks back. So
yes,
that says, and Miami was ranked second or third in the country at the time. It says a lot about who they are.
Yeah, I think I actually just looked at that today. So I think they were number 2, exactly like you said, number 2 in the country when they took them out. Well, we'll get into Ben's question here then before we'll jump into your plays after this. Is JMU a playoff team?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think for me, I think we have to let the final few games, I think it's 3-4 games left regular season wise. I think we got to let it play out. And the reason for that is not because of what we think JMU won't do, because I do think JMU has the capacity to win out. As a matter of fact, I think they will win out, to be quite honest. But it's going to matter what South Florida does, and it's going to matter what is it Tulane? I believe
Tulane and Memphis.
Tulane, and I think JMU, Tulane, Memphis, and USF. Those are going to be the 4 teams that it's going to come down to. All 4 of them won't. I don't think there's space enough for 2 of those teams to get in. So I do think one of them will. I think it's going to be a matter of who runs the table towards the end of the season, because I think all have 1 loss, and so that's going to tell that to me. That's going to be what determines. And now the real question comes if they all went out, right? Let's say hypothetically they all went out. Then you're going to get down to strength of schedule, strength of regular, and then I think at that point USF having that win against Florida, albeit Florida they don't look like a juggernaut now, but Florida having been in the SEC, I think they'll get points for that. So I think that's how it'll shake out, unfortunately, if they all went out. But it's important for JMU to win out, and I think JMU would need USF to lose 1 more. I don't know. What say you?
Well, I will agree with this. If James Madison loses any regular season game, probably even if they lose in the Sunbelt Championship, but if they lose any regular season game they have left in the Sunbelt, I think they're probably playing themselves out. I think that's what I think. I think a 1-loss team, JMU, is at the very top of the conversation, maybe second place at worst if they continue and only end up with 1 loss when we're looking at the CFP at the end of the year. But yes, you're right. It comes down to what everybody else does. Here's the downside, possible downside. You need Southern Miss or Troy to stay undefeated the rest of the way so that whoever you match up with in the Sunbelt Championship looks like the strongest matchup you could get, and then you would hope to win that. Now, on the other side of things, both Troy and Southern Miss have 2 losses, but they also stand a chance to both win out. Obviously, they go head-to-head at some point here in the near future. But, then that win against a possible 1-loss JMU team in a conference championship gets them into a conversation with other 2-loss teams, because you got to think, each of the losses for Southern Miss and Troy is against a power opponent as well. Now, Clemson's down, so that one probably hurts Troy. Whereas, well, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know how well Mississippi State's doing, but that was the loss that Southern Miss suffered to start the year. But that loss they had to La Tech now looks a lot worse too, right? Like La Tech hasn't continued to be great. And then I guess It would be tough. If you think a Sunbelt team has a chance, it has to be JMU because the Troy loss is to a Memphis team, but they got decimated by Memphis. So that doesn't – you can't really like say, oh, it's an overtime loss or something. They got drilled pretty good by Memphis. And then the La Tech loss by Southern Miss almost plays them out because of how bad of a loss it is. But again, you can put that same thing on Memphis with the UAB loss. But then they're going to compare strength of schedule where the Sunbelt's always going to lose out in that regard, unfortunately, especially this year with what the conference is. But, yeah, there's a lot of question marks. Like you said, you really don't know, but could they be? If we want one, it has to be them is what I'll say. I'll end it.
I think, and I'm just doing a little bit of research. You talked about Mississippi State and their record so far. I don't think that the loss to Mississippi State bodes well because Mississippi State's not doing well. Okay. So I think that's, let me see. I'm trying to look up other where they are currently. Mississippi State is 0-4 in conference play and 4-4 overall. So I think honestly, if it had to come down to two teams, I think it's going to come down to USF and JMU. And I think if both win out, USF is going to get the nod because of Florida. And I think that's just that's going to be how it goes. And again, Florida, the win to Florida doesn't mean a lot based on where they rank. Because let's see.
You know what I'll say on that aspect is I hope the voters were watching or paying attention at the very least to that game that JMU lost, though, because we know for a fact that's not the same team that's on the field now, right? They were doing the 2-quarterback thing. You and I were like, what are they doing? We thought like, okay, yeah, they'll throw in some trick plays. No, they did it throughout the whole game, and there's no rhythm, no rhyme. I think we both agree that Barnett was just not healthy enough to go for a full game, or they were scared to let him go for a full game. We'll never know probably, but this team is completely different. Defensively, they obviously be pretty much the same, but offensively very different. And they have probably a better attack than they had against that team. And then if Louisville were to make the ACC championship, and certainly if they were to win it, to me, that's when I'm saying that's above USF, right? Now we've got a team that they beat that continued on and won a power conference championship. You got a Florida team that didn't do that, right? We know they're not going to get there.
Florida's 3-4 and 2-2 in conference play. So average at best.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we missed your plays to start the night. So are you ready to enter into those? We only have 2 of them. And hopefully our stream works a little bit better this time around. I went back and watched to see how bad it was on everybody else's. And I was like, man, that's pretty awful. But here we go. App State versus ODU. This is actually going to be the App State offense. I know a lot of people probably thought we were going to play an ODU clip, but this one just has some intriguing things that I want TJ to talk about. So this is a JJ Cole to Jaden Barnes for a touchdown, but there's a lot of stuff going on at the line. Again, we'll run through it for full speed first, and then we'll slow it down as TJ continues to talk us through this clip.
Yeah, first of all, nod to whoever designed those helmets for App State. They look really, really good, by the way. But what you're going to get, what you're looking at is you're seeing a lot of pointing and a lot of hand gestures, a lot of movements. What's happening is ODU, you see how they've got a lot of people walked up to the line of scrimmage. So what's happening is instead of that tight end that he's got lined up sort of in the slot, instead of having him go out on a route, he's calling him and pulling him back in for protection purposes because he can't tell where the blitz is coming from. Now, it ended up working out because when you play it in slow motion, which Dom's about to do, you're going to see that when everybody walks over, right, the actual free runner comes through on the outside, on that right side. So the tight end that he called over to block actually did block. So it was worth him changing the protection call. And so now you got one less route, but you've got yourself more protected. And you go to the side that has the most field, and you go to the side that has your best receiver lined up and give him a better chance to get to the ball. So like you said, there's a lot going on. Again, protection. And now I'm changing the play at the line of scrimmage. You got essentially whatever this signal is. I assume it's a high-low. High-low route was exactly what that was. He throws the corner. We used to call it stars, but I guess he's calling it a high-low now, which both mean the same thing.
Okay.
And he throws a corner route. So it ends up working out. It ends up working out really well. But shout out to the quarterback for understanding that there is a blitz coming. There's pressure. We don't know where it's coming from, but let me slide my tight end in just to give myself a little better of an opportunity to be protected and create that pass. They run a stunt too. It was a very late stunt, but they did run a stunt up front. ODU did. So good job. That was about the only thing we did well.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a rough game for us Mountaineers fans. But, the ODU kicker had a rough game, and I was like, ooh, they're going to end up paying for this. And they didn't end up paying for that.
No, they did not.
In the end, which was a little interesting because I think he missed 3 field goals. And I was like, all right, we're going to make him pay for this. No, not happening. But, that's okay. We'll get a shot at him again next year, as we know, in the East. This second clip comes from last night's game, James Madison versus Texas State. This is a Barnett to Wayne Knight. This is not a touchdown, but it was pretty dang close. And I'm just going to have TJ kind of tell you guys and talk to you about how he gets so wide open on this play. And one last thing. There was a lot of people saying, I feel like I'm watching this game from space or whatever. For us to do this, or for me or you to see a play, we don't usually get access to, the all 22 film or anything. This is about as close as we get. And so it's really nice to see this angle for what we talk about and what we do. But I'll let TJ take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, the angle, I think we all texted last night on a group thread that this is terrible to watch the game, but it's certainly great for film evaluation. And what you're going to end up happening is when you flip the side with the receiver, now you've taken a safety or corner and moved him over to the other side of the field. So now you've got a corner and a safety who has to account for both tight ends, right? Well, the linebacker is actually supposed to slide out. So when we bring this back, I'm actually going to show you where because it was a bust in coverage. It was absolutely a bust by Texas State in coverage. And one of the simplest and easiest busts to prevent, because right now you've got what looks like cover 2, right? Look at the safeties. Both of them are splitting the field, so to speak. You've got corner down, 2 safeties back, and what looks like a nickel or a third linebacker, right? So that nickel and third line, somebody's got to buzz out to the flats. So what ends up happening is when he snaps the ball, right, the tight end and H-back, they're going to run routes, right? So let's see when we get it rolling here. Everybody's shifting, everybody's moving. True cover 2 at this point. True cover 2, which means that corner, it's the corner's job to have the flat. He's going to get caught with his eyes in the backfield, right? And so now, look, corner is he's chasing that H-back. He should be buzzing out to the flat because you've got to cover 2. So he should absolutely buzz out to the flat. And to me, first of all, he's playing way too far inside. He doesn't have enough outside leverage. And even if he did have outside leverage, he took the wrong guy. You're not in a man coverage situation unless it's 2-man and I'm missing something. Then that means the linebacker here in the middle of the field, if it's 2-man, then he accounts for the running back and he gets rubbed, which again, busting coverage, everybody. But if that running back goes out, they've got that safety or corner and that linebacker has to it's linebacker and corner. They've got to understand that if that running back buzzes out to the flat, then he now becomes the cornerback responsibility, and that linebacker has to take the tight end. That has to happen. And there's no communication. So whether it's 2-man or just playing cover 2, it's a busted play by both. So it looks like 2-man. That's exactly what happened. And the middle linebacker is supposed to be responsible for the running back, but he's got to pass that off because he's getting crossed in the middle. So it was either a great play call and they knew they were going to get man, or just a busted coverage altogether. But either way, big yards. Should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
I did a whole lot of talking. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Wayne Knight, it's almost surprising that with Wayne Knight, it's surprising it wasn't a touchdown, honestly. So we'll have to see if they can get him more open space, because like I said before you jumped on, that it was surprising to see him kind of have a little bit lesser of a game, but he still was successful in, a couple regards like that. So he's still a player that you're going to have to focus on and try and stop if you're the opponent. Definitely one that can hurt you quickly when that comes up to it. Ben's already trying to get into Saturday's game for A-State. We'll get to that one here shortly, but we're going to get to the games of the week first. If you haven't checked out our special edition, we didn't get too fancy with the name. We just called it Special Edition with Mike Yuba, who is the Associate Athletic Director of Communications and Media. Somehow I remembered that title. But he's
a long title.
Yeah, it is a long time. I asked him if he had that on his door or something. It's just ridiculous. But he knows what he's doing. He's done TV. He's done athletic director responsibilities at South Carolina in the past as well. He's been one of the biggest guys when it comes to planning all of this out and getting stuff done for Coastal Carolina on their Thursday night matchup with the Marshall Thundering Herd. That one's on ESPN2 Halloween Eve, which is important to say it that way with what we now know about the Conway area and the Myrtle Beach area just being Halloween crazy. If you don't follow Mike on Twitter or X now, please do so, because he's been sharing some pictures of some stuff he's come across. And I think one of the ones he specifically mentioned that I saw him post up to was two skeleton figures. And one was the Macho Man and the other one was Hulk Hogan, having a real wrestling match in someone's front yard. So people really get into Halloween. They are leaning fully into that for this game. We do know some stuff in the background. We can't share it, unfortunately. That will be for Coastal to share with you all tomorrow night on national TV. So be sure to check that one out. Whether you're a fan of either team doesn't matter. Apparently, this is going to be an absolute spectacle, so don't miss it. And then on top of that, TJ, I'm going to let you take it from here, because I want you to talk more about the game than I just did. All I did was set the stage for what you're going to see on television.
No, I mean, that's it. So it's going to be a fun game, fun atmosphere. And I can tell you firsthand from going down to Coastal on Halloween, that Myrtle Beach area altogether for Halloween, they do it big, man. They do it really big. But as far as the play on the field goes, you're in for a barn burner, in my opinion. I think you've got two fairly evenly matched teams. If you had told me that the Coastal was going to finish second in the conference, or at least in the East Division this year, I would have told you maybe, because we don't know, right? Last year we didn't know who they were, and we've been kind of Jekyll and hiding in this thing for quite a while. But it seems like they found their stride, and Marshall has been really, really good as of late. So you got two teams that, if you're a fan of sunbelt football, and if you're a fan specifically of offense, this game should be an offensive explosion. I think both teams are going to come out. Neither team has a stout defense. Now, neither team has they're not bad. The defenses aren't awful. But right. Neither team, I think, is going to stop, quote unquote, each other. So I think you're going to look at, if you've got, in my opinion, whatever the over is, take it, because it's probably going to be around 55 to 60 points. My guess would be to bang the over hard on this game, because this is game. If you like offense, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, and we'll get to that one on best bets. We'll know exactly what that is here in a minute. I'm excited for this quarterback matchup too. Carlos Del Rio Wilson has been the main reason why you said Marshall's getting on that tear. But Samari Carrier came on strong these last few weeks. Obviously, just was not to be stopped against App State. I think I'd like to see him further grow in the passing game. But if you really actually look back during the App State game, his completion rated was pretty dang good. He threw one really deep ball that was caught for a touchdown that I think they initially called no touchdown, reviewed it was a touchdown. Just an amazing throw, great catch by the wide receiver. I don't even want to say it. It might have been, I don't know. I won't mess up which receiver it was, because I want to give him credit for the great catch, but I don't want to mess it up. So I'm not sure, but it was a great catch deep down the sideline and right toe tapping into the end zone with one full foot, without a doubt. A great touchdown there. Like you said, I think the offenses are going to be on full display. We'll see which defense comes up stronger in that one, which is interesting. The reason there's two games this week is because these two teams right here, Marshall and Coastal, are 2-3 in the East. And then below that, the game we're about to talk about now, Arkansas State and Troy are 2nd and 3rd in the West. So we can't deny how good and how important these games are for both sides of the Sun Belt this week. Yeah. And then this last one, Arkansas State going to Troy, ESPNU, nationally televised game. They picked two really good games to nationally televise for this week.
For sure.
Well, I guess technically there was 3, but the one last night didn't turn out to be so great. That first half was good. But hopefully these two can help remedy that. This one Saturday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central time. Who do you expect to take this game between the Red Wolves and the Trojans maybe?
Oh, I'm going to go with Jalen Rayner and the Red Wolves, man. I think they find their stride. I think Jalen Rayner has been coming on as of late. He had I can't remember who they played last week, but he had a really good game.
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern, yeah. Really good game against Georgia Southern. And he's been getting better as the year has progressed. So I'm going to pick him to win. And like Ben said, I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be one of those kind of nip and tuck games. It's going to come down to whose defense can get a stop or who makes a mistake first, because both of these offenses now, while they are both really good and can be really good at times, they are also both prone to making mistakes. Now, I will say the Red Wolves, when they get into 2-minute mode, I watched their game last week. When they get into 2-minute mode, Jalen Rayner is absolutely lights out. He led a drive last week that we watched. I think us and the whole group chat was watching the game. He led a drive last week that if you blinked, you missed a highlight play. I mean, he was throwing absolute darts. And when it wasn't there, he pulled it down and he took off running. So he is a really good threat to run the ball. He's also a good threat, again, throw the ball in those high pressure, high cooker moments. If it was me, I'd have them, I don't want to say do hurry up, but certainly add an element of pressure in terms of time for Troy's defense. Don't allow them to sub, right? Spread them out and let Jalen Rayner just throw the ball all over the yard, because now essentially when you've got a quarterback that can run as well as Jalen Rayner can, you've opened up the field and now it's 11 on 11, right? Because now you account for him in the run game as well as in the pass. So I don't want to take up too much of your thunder, because I know you've got some ideas and some thoughts on this as well. But I get really excited talking about the Rebels because they've come a long way. And what I saw them do last week in that 2-minute drill showed me that if they can continue that sort of success, I think they'll be able to pull this off in a close one. I don't think it'll be a runaway, but I do think they can pull it out.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of with you, but I favor Troy just a little bit. I think to me they've been more consistent. But you're right, though. It's kind of a tale of very similar teams in some regards, because Troy has these games where they look like they put themselves in trouble. They got a lot of work to do, but then they get out of it somehow. And then Arkansas State's just these comeback kids. I think you can officially crown them that. They just continue to come back and win these games. Even if getting down early, it doesn't matter. They just continue to fight. We broke down that play earlier this year where we saw every single person on that line really do their job well, blocking downfield, even for a small gain. And I think, in fact, if I remember right, that was it didn't even go for a first down. But everybody on the team still did what they needed to do for it to be positive yardage. And if they can do the little things continuously, it's going to be a fun one to watch. My thing that I want to watch out for is, and I haven't seen it come out yet, Tay Meadows. If he returns for Troy, he's their all-everything player, star running back. Did not go last week, but they had a guy who came up and just played phenomenally, so it didn't matter as much. A very good thing for Troy to find a second running back to lean on going forward if Tay Meadows can continue to not go. But we'll see what happens in that. Again, two great games. There's not a bad option to watch national televised sunbelt coverage the rest of this week. Ben wants to know where the Do It Lady thing is, and it's coming up. It's coming up. Trust me. And is it the next thing? Here it is. You better win. TJ, if I don't see a handful of people in costumes that look like Chit from the sketch, I'll be disappointed
because that hasn't happened.
I know, right? And Warren's got a status update with us right now. Tay Meadows still questionable at this point in time, which I'll take it as an upgrade. We know he was out completely last week. So if we got questionable at this point of the week, we'll take that as a positive moving forward for the Trojans going into this weekend's matchup. Okay, I only got one game on here. We only had 5 left after Tuesday's game with JMU and Texas State already going. This one, I'm saying you better win for the ODU Monarchs, right? I don't think this is going to be easy going on the road to ULM, but to me, you looked a certain way. You looked apart early in the season. You've had some rough times where you fell apart recently. Get that game against App State, but you still didn't quite look like your old self, but you need to beat a team like ULM in this one, right, TJ?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got to come to play. They've got to, get all their weapons hot. Now, again, it is going to be tough. They're traveling, considerable ways to go to ULM. That said, though, ULM is no slouch on defense. Their offense maybe isn't prolific, but their defense certainly has been stopping people. And if not stopping them, certainly limiting them in terms of what they're capable of doing. ODU can't afford that. They cannot afford a stumble, especially where they are, I think, fourth in the East. They cannot afford another loss. So they've got to come. They got to bring their right stuff. I'm taking them to win if I had to pick it, but I'm certainly not betting my house on it because you got time zone differences, right? That's one thing. Second thing is you've got a ULM who, again, we just talked about it. Their defense, when they come to play, can really play pretty stout. And then you've got an ODU football team who hasn't really found their identity all year. So if all those 3 things happen, that's the perfect storm for ULM to pull off what we call or consider to be an upset. So we'll see how this thing goes. But smart money says ODU, but this is the sunbelt, baby, and every week is game week. So
I think a lot of smart money was on James Madison when they traveled down to ULM last year, and we all know what happened in that one. Exactly. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't take a week off. You can't look at this and go. I should say, us as fans and outsiders can look at this and go, ODU should win this game, but you can't sit there from a player's perspective and be like, hey guys, we got to walk in the park. Like, yeah, we got to travel down, but just play smart. You don't have to play. I know you got to come correct. I mean, I'm sure TJ will tell you had to do that every week anyway, but this is one that you really can't just waltz in there. And it is tough. We've heard this argument before, and TJ, I think you've even presented it. You'd rather go into a hostile environment and be yelled at the entire game than go to a place where there's not many fans in the stands. It's not a ton of energy in the stadium, and it's just hard to kind of get it, like up and pumped and ready for a game like that. So I think I've heard app players say this specifically about places like that, which is you got to bring your own energy.
Yeah.
So we'll see if ODU can do that. But that's really the only game I think that you have like a real obvious team that should win, but we'll see if that is what happens there. All right. And then rounding it out, just one game. Like I said, we only have 5 total on the slate after last night. So we've got the Cajuns traveling on the road to South Alabama. The one reason this one didn't fit in either category otherwise for me is they're both exactly the same, 2-6 overall on the year, both 1-3 within the conference. So
which is insane.
I don't know
when you think about
it. This one to me is just completely a toss-up, and that's kind of okay. We saw what that toss-up game gave us when we saw South Alabama and Georgia State matchup. TJ called it last week. Hey, these are 2 not great teams, but they may give us one hell of a game, and guess what? They did.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is another one of those scenarios where it could absolutely be the exact same thing. Not what's up, Artie Cat? Not great games, but could be one of the, or not great teams, but could be a great game. I'm still stuck on where these 2 teams are versus where I had them slated to be at the beginning of the year, and I got to kind of let that go. Right, we're in week 10 or going into week 10, so it is what it is at this point. However, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, really. But all that said. Again, this is the sunbelt, right? On any given Saturday or Friday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day we're playing, it could be a barn burner, and this has the makings to be just that. Neither one of these teams can stop each other. That's for sure. Neither one of them play defense well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just looking at like some of the statistics, and you're right. Like defensively, it's just not the same as some of the other teams with guys grabbing sacks left and right and stuff. Your
right.
sack leader for the Cajuns has 1.5 on the season. There's 1.5 sacks for players in a single game earlier this year on other Sunbelt teams. The leading sack getter for the Jaguars is Thomas on the defensive line, 2 sacks total on the year. Right. So, you're right. These defenses just have a hard time stopping people. That's kind of why I think this game is also one that you don't want to miss. You've got Lunch Winfield, who runs the ball better than he throws it right now. You've got Bishop Davenport, who actually is a better passer, but can also, hurt you with the legs on the ground. He was behind only Gio Lopez last year. I think that's the only reason he wasn't already a starter. If they had any kind of lesser talent in front of him, I think Davenport would have been the guy as soon as last season with his talent and ability on the field. So, I think this is a game you look at taking the over as a possibility. You also just have to look at, can both of these teams take care of the ball enough to continually put it into the end zone? That's kind of the thing that you just have to make sure that you feel comfortable with if you're going to do something like that. And then unrelated to ESPN Plus, but related to the television coverage of everything, for those of us YouTube TV subscribers, and I think you even saw it on that clip that we were playing between James Madison and Texas State, there is some kind of dispute between all the parties involved, and it is a possibility that, once again, we've already done this once. We've been through this once as these paying customers. They took ABC and ESPN away from us already, YouTube TV. I mean, they won't say they're threatening to do it again, but they literally are, because they're just deciding not to work on a contract that benefits the consumer to keep them around. But hey, that ESPN Plus platform that you can get all by itself for $30 a month doesn't look so bad now. With this TV.
Yeah, well, that and listen, they're going to get it done. They threatened us a couple years back with the same thing. It's every single year they do these things where they have to renegotiate deals, and not every single year, but every few years they've got to renegotiate these deals. If they know what's best for them, they'll make the deal happen, because they'll lose customers if they don't. I'm not going to stick with YouTube TV if I can't watch it. I mean, ESPN is the single reason I had it for the most part.
Right.
So,
yep.
And now that they have, the NFL ticket, now that would be, I do find it interesting that they closed the deal with the NFL and the Sunday ticket, and then are threatening to lose ESPN, because I think now they might be playing the long game and saying, well, we have, most of America because of the Sunday ticket. So it's acquiesce to what we're asking for or don't. But we can't, because then you put people like me in a bind, because like I got to have them both.
Right.
ESPN, and I've got to have the Sunday ticket. So it'd be interesting to see how this thing shakes out. But if it, if it doesn't, we'll break bread and we'll get the ESPN app, figure it all out.
Yeah. I know, right? The first time around they didn't just threaten it; they actually pulled it, and I remember exactly why I know that, because App State's bowl game was on ESPN that day, the day they pulled it, and I couldn't watch it. I got to start watching sometime during the first quarter, because I had a friend nice enough to share a Dish TV subscriber.
Oh, log in,
yeah. So they've done it before. We'll see if they do it again to really make people lose their mind. So hopefully they don't do that. I don't know how soon that would happen either. I'm not quite sure, but hopefully it doesn't affect anything this weekend. That's for sure. We'll get into the best bets, and I'll be honest. I was kind of like TJ. It's like, man, I don't really want to touch too many of these games, because it's just so much question marks and so much waffling back and forth that I would do about actually picking any of these things, like fully committed and feel confident with. I did make 3 picks. TJ played a little safer and just went with 2 that he was more comfortable with. I'll start off, since I've got that only one in that first game between Marshall and Coastal. I think what we've seen these last couple of weeks out of both teams is the offenses are rolling. They're being very successful. I'm not comfortable with either team winning outright. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in this one. There's going to be a lot going on off the field. There's still college kids, so there's still Halloween stuff on the brain, things going off outside of the field. I can't trust either team to win it completely, but I will take the over on the 56.5. Still a good amount of points, but I could see this one just being offensive firepower all night with the two quarterbacks at the helm for each school. So I was comfortable enough. Oh, I'm sorry, not the over. I took the under of 56.5 because of what's going on outside of the field. But these quarterbacks could still light it up. I just don't know. That's an average of just over 28 points per team. So I don't know. Maybe that's the bad pick. Maybe I just talked myself out of it by thinking I'd taken the over.
Sounds like you were doing a little bit of waffling yourself. I'm with you though. Yeah. I think it. I think it's going to go over, man. I think both of these teams are going to score 30. I think it'll be 31-35 or 31-34. And we'll get a 60+ point football game. If you're asking me, I mean, that's my opinion. I was afraid to touch it because you never know, right? Because both of these, I mean, again, they've been playing really, really well on offense. Both of them have. Neither of them have been consistent enough on defense to stop each other. And that's my rationale into thinking we're going to get 60+ points. But also, too, both of these teams have given us absolute duds on offense before. So,
yes.
So what are we going to do? And I think that's maybe where your thinking came in versus how I'm thinking. I don't know, but I do know that I will be tuned in and watching.
Oh yeah, this is one, man. If you and I could make it work and it wasn't so close, I mean, the draw of it is that it's close to Halloween. But for us with kids, it's like you can't be going and be tired for Halloween. I gotta practice ice hockey practice where the coaches are dressing up. I can't miss that. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could be down there for that one because I think the atmosphere is going to be phenomenal. I heard Marshall's going to bring a lot of fans as well to this one.
Oh, for sure, it's not that far of a drive. No. Well, I guess it is kind of far, but not far enough to where they won't get there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, what Marshall fans will tell you and App State fans even really, there's a lot of people from both of those fan bases that vacation in the Myrtle Beach area anyway.
I was going to say, yep, vacation spot, nice little hotel, make a weekend out of it. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. It's probably a little too cold to get in the water, but you could at least have a nice view from a hotel room over there right now. So
for sure.
There is that. ODU versus ULM. The spread favors the Monarchs by 16.5. That's 2 points more than ODU is favored by against App State. And then we do have to note, they did fail to cover that as App State kept that within a 3-point game. Neither one of us see that happening here with this one with ULM, right? We're going to both take ODU to cover that.
Yeah, I think ODU is going to cover it pretty well. Like I said, I picked them earlier. Now, again, it is sort of one of those what you quote-unquote trap games because like we said, if ULM comes and they come to play defense and their defense shows up, ODU could be in trouble. I don't think that's going to happen. I think ODU shows up because they have to, right? Like I don't think in their minds I think they know that if they lose this game, essentially any hope of winning the East is over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's already kind of over. I think, in fact, since we just talked about that Marshall Coastal game, to me, that's an elimination game. You don't win that game, there's zero chance you win the Sunbelt East.
Sure.
I think with ODU already having 2 losses and one of them being to the number 1 team in James Madison, I don't see JMU losing 3 games because that's what it would take for ODU to have any chance to jump them. So I think it's all over for the team that loses tomorrow night in Conway, and unfortunately for ODU, I don't see them climbing anywhere above James Madison the rest of the year. All right, we did not touch the Cajuns versus the Jags game. Maybe we can give an explanation about why. To me, I don't even know if I'd favor USA. I was actually a little bit surprised maybe that they were favored over the Cajuns. I mean, I know they came in with the same record, but I could have seen this game as a coin toss or, one of those weird ones where you favor the road team even just by a little bit, not by a lot, but like 1.5 or something weird. So I just did not feel comfortable enough to touch any of it.
Yeah, usually they give the home team at 2 points or 3 points just because they're home. So my guess or my thought is them being home and then potentially the 1.5 after that is the reason why the spread is where it is. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it at all, and I'm not going to.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess from what I had said earlier, that also kind of applied to my going against my own pick in that first one, essentially. But the two quarterbacks can put up points. So if you're leaning towards anything on this one, maybe take the over of 53.5.
I mean, and then that would then that would assume that both teams are going to score 27 points. Are you sure?
Yeah. Nope. I'm not at all. But if I had to, take one, maybe that's where I'd lean. But yeah, like you said, we're not taking anything on that one. Ben does not think Troy will cover, but that's exactly what I think will happen in this one against Arkansas State. I could see this one as a Troy comes to play, gets a lead, and this is the first time in a while that Arkansas State can't get that comeback victory. I don't know. 7.5 is more than a touchdown, so they got to win by at least 8, 9, 10 points for us to win this pick. But I don't know. I feel like Troy could do it.
Okay, so I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth here because earlier I was.
You're pulling me.
Right? Yeah. And earlier I was singing the praises of Jalen Raynor and that offense, especially that 2-minute offense. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys that are listening or guys and girls that are listening got a chance to watch it, but it was a thing of absolute beauty. I mean, I think I was texting Dom in the group. I think I texted him after every throw. It was like, did you see that? Jeez, he put the ball right. I was like, I couldn't. It was like something you would see on Sunday, quite honestly. Not that he is good enough to play on Sunday yet, but it certainly looked like a Sunday 4:30 primetime drive, that last 2-minute that they had. So earlier I said my caveat would be if they can play that way consistently and sort of put pressure on Troy's defense to make them make decisions, not let them substitute, keep the same lineup on the field, spread them out, let Jalen Raynor do his thing, and then also use his legs. There's a good chance that Arkansas State wins this game. I said that, and then earlier I picked Troy to cover. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
All right. Well, at least it's fair. I did it to start with, and you did it to end. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm talking myself out of the Troy covering thing. I think I wish I could edit this and check it in real time. I think I just want to go with the over total.
You would go with the over? Okay. There you go. And yeah, I might change mine to the over on the one I put the under on to start with. This will be like one of those things they tell you never to do on a test in school. Like, no, go with your first answer. Don't ever change it. It's like, I thought this
now
way
I'm interested to see how this thing shakes out, and then what we come back and look at next week, and then we talk about it.
Yeah. And in fact, I told people while we were waiting on you to jump in, I was like, I need to go back and just see who's done better. And my money, the smart money, is to be on you because I feel like I've had some pretty bad picks. But I do need to do that at some point and see who kind of is winning the overall bet battle or whatever. I don't know. We don't have a name for it, but just see who's kind of leader in the clubhouse, if we will. So we'll see
winning our best
I can
bets.
Get back and just see who's in the lead when it comes to those, because this has been fun. I've liked the addition of this segment. It's done pretty well. I need to continue to remember to share it online because I usually say I don't want to share it immediately on Wednesday. I'll put it out on Thursday, which is also funny because by the time I put it out, even if it's after this show now, some of these lines will have changed probably 100%. Even in that short time. So, it's hard to see that it stays consistent. So when people say, well, no, that's not even the right line. It's like, yeah, but we made these picks on Wednesday evening, right? Like we had to have them done and ready.
We can always preface that when you post it. Hey, these are picks based on the night before. Lines might have changed, but this is where we went.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. All right. Sam Malone Logan checking in saying, love JMU bringing the spotlight to the conference. Coach Bob rumors. Here we go. There's going to be all kinds of rumors. There's a lot of jobs opened up already.
Yeah. There's like five in the SEC. 7 total in Power 4 conferences. And
that's crazy. I've already heard there's a – oh, yeah. I've already heard there's a strong rumor of a former Penn State coach heading to Blacksburg, Virginia. And I was like, home run hire. If you get that guy – what's funny is my dad was always like, Franklin can't win the big one. My dad's a big Penn State fan. He just can't get that big. He didn't dislike Franklin. He's just frustrated that he never seemed to win that big game when Penn State needed it most, right? But he liked the guy. And then he said he saw the interview on College Game Day, the week after, or the end of that week right after it happened. And he's like, Penn State made the biggest mistake. He's already admitted that Penn State made a massive mistake in letting that guy go because he's one hell of a coach. So we'll see.
I don't know. It depends on who they get in terms of – I know who they better not get, and that's Brian Kelly. Penn State better not get Brian Kelly. He can't win to save his life. I mean, I'm so happy he's out of LSU. It's ridiculous. He doesn't care about the South. He doesn't care about SEC football. He just wants to – he's like a hired gun, right? Like he doesn't give a crap about these teams and who they are. He just wants to win. He wants to make his money. He wants to go home. There's a place for that. It's just not in the SEC. Your heart's got to be in it. I tell you who does love it, and that's Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard Josh Pate, who's the well-known college football commissioner, future college football commissioner, as he calls himself, and he was on XM radio. I think it was last week, it may have been earlier this week, saying that he heard all about how, and he, I guess, experienced some of this, about how he ran things at LSU, and just said he was so unimpressed with everything he'd heard about, like they'd be doing recruiting visits and dear old head coach would be over at the beach, just not even in the building. Like, you guys take care of it. It's like, and he put it this way. I think he showed up at LSU thinking a national championship would just kind of find him, right? Like, they're going to show up. The talented kids are going to show up, and all I got to do is be, my normal coaching self, and they're going to go out and win the thing. But that's not what.
And that's not going to happen because you have in the SEC West, you've got Alabama that you're fighting against, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I mean, and that's just to name a few. And now Texas is there, Oklahoma's there. I mean, you think these kids aren't going to? I mean, you got to be more than just Brian Kelly. You got to be more now than just LSU. Because if I can go to Alabama and be ranked 4th and possibly play every single year against Kirby Smart for the SEC championship, then why am I going to go to LSU, right? Like what good is that going to do me? So I think for me personally, I'm glad we got him out of there. I want Lane Kiffin so bad for a lot of reasons. Number one, he's a hell of a ball coach. He's under Nick Saban's tutelage. He comes from that tree. He's cut from that cloth. And number two, he talks so much trash. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it.
What's funny is, I mean, maybe you're in circles that I'm not in. I have not seen his name mentioned for LSU, but that may just be me. I've seen him be the fit for Florida, right? Like that's the one that everybody always says him. But LSU could fit him. I could see it now that you say it, but it's kind of funny that I hadn't really pegged him as like the Tiger kind of the guy. Ben's saying that Coach O wants to get back into coaching. I don't think we'll see that day. But
I don't think so either, but I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, you liked him?
Oh, I love El Orgeron. Are you kidding me? That voice and also just his love for football altogether? Absolutely. Now, towards the end of his career, the voice started getting a little played out and it started falling on deaf ears. And I think the recruiting wasn't up to par. It kind of got to one of those things where after he won a championship, he sort of leaned on that a lot and was like, like you said, the championship guys will just come find me. And that's not how this works. Like you got to do the work. And that's the reason why I like Lane Kiffin, because what kid isn't going to want Lane Kiffin sitting in their living room, or Kirby Smart, or, a guy like that sitting in their living room saying, hey, come play football for me. Or not mad about this too. I know it's not going to happen, but Coach Prime down in LSU, you think he can't recruit?
It would be a better fit than Colorado. Colorado never really fit. I mean, he feels natural there now, but when he first went, I'm like, I don't get the Colorado thing, other than they were the ones that needed a coach and were willing to pay. Yeah. Warren saying Summerall named in all openings. Yes, the former Troy coach, now at Tulane. He's a fantastic coach. We already knew that when he was in this conference. He's obviously gone on to prove that he can do it in other places, as he's done with Tulane. Warren also thinks that the Lane train will be the first domino that starts everything. I think you're right. I mean, I think he's going to be the top guy for a lot of schools, right, TJ?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think and they have him pegged for Penn State. He doesn't, to me, his personality doesn't fit Penn State, but I mean, my wife certainly wouldn't be mad if he went to Penn State, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, he's pegged for Penn State. They've got him for Florida, LSU. I mean, there's a lot of jobs that I think once he goes, that will determine, like he said, where everybody else goes.
Yeah. Ben also thinks Napier returns to the Sunbelt. That'll be interesting. That means somebody's leaving for sure. We'll see if that actually takes place. And then he does mention the cool thing. We've always been fans of the little guy here. Obviously, that's why we do this podcast, to talk about teams that don't get talked about as much through other national media outlets. But Ben is mentioning the fact that Reese Davis just recently pitched 2 Division II teams to go head-to-head on College Game Day. That would be huge. I'm not sure if they've ever been to a D2 school. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I know they've been to some FCS schools in the past.
I don't think so. I don't know. These
schools, I think it's called the Battle maybe Ben can put it up here, like the Battle of the Ravine or something like that. This is a long-standing rivalry. The schools, and I don't think they're kidding when they say this, but like someone told me that these schools literally walk from their campus to the other one to play each other. Like that's how close they are in location. So that's kind of crazy. He says it would be the 98th meeting, and he said I got it correct with the ravine aspect. So just absolutely fantastic that they're thinking about doing that type of thing. We get to see the SEC schools all the time. They can go back to them next year. This is one of those ones that everybody in every local town around there will be trying to get over there to College Game Day because of the party and atmosphere that they provide. But I don't know. What do you think, TJ? You like to see them go to like small schools like that, just kind of mix it up?
I wouldn't mind it, man. I wouldn't mind it at all. Listen, I mean, App State was considered a small school up until 2007. So, you know, for me, I always like when the little guys get attention. So yeah, I would be 1,000% for it. I'm going to watch regardless. And it would be nice to just kind of give some pub to their campus, right? Like, let's see what these other small campuses look like. You know, Lenore Ryan, my brother went to Lenore Ryan, which is the D2 school. He played football there just down the mountain from Boone. And I visited their campus a whole lot, and it was an uncovered gym to me. It was a great campus. It's beautiful, right in the middle of Hickory. It's a beautiful campus. So a lot of times you don't get to see that because you don't even know some of these places exist. So yeah, absolutely. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it too. I love it. And like you said, I actually grew up right near Lenore Ryan, or LR as the locals call it. I'm sure TJ knew, people call it that as well. Absolutely fantastic athletic facilities. I think even since your brothers left, there's been even more updates and upgrades that I've heard. I know they are hosting their football field and facility is so good now that they are hosting a state championship in football in the state of North Carolina this year.
Yeah, so they've got that. It was good. It was good back when we were there, and it's only gotten better.
Yeah. So it's impressive. We'll see if they end up putting these D2 schools on the map and giving them some shine on College Game Day. I know it's not official, but that's just kind of what some of the people would like to see here, and we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition in the coming weeks. But any other last news or things you want to share with the people, TJ?
No. Well, actually started basketball tonight, which got pulled into coaching that now. So I'm also the head coach of basketball. Here we go, man. Listen, if he's asked me to do it, I'm going to do it, that him being my son. So I don't know much about basketball other than what I did in high school, and then I can shoot a free throw. But other than that, we'll see how this thing goes. So excited about it.
Yeah. Ben mentioning some women's basketball exhibition. Close one between A-State and Henderson State. Again, another little small school who gets a mention here on the show. One last thing from Sam. He said, missed the discussion about the Mountaineers. Are y'all back on the Swan train? It sounds like Loggins is. Dow Loggins seems to like him a little bit more from what you underlying tones of interviews that I've heard or read. But I think he's still saying publicly that it's going to be the best guy in practice who gets the start. I think we see Swan again, unless, he got banged up a little bit more again in that ODU game. But what do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I think we see him back. I mean, it'll be hard. This time of year, it's hard to go to a different quarterback and have that person run the football team unless there's an injury, unless there's something underlying that we don't know about. It's kind of hard to do that. Now, all that being said, if you're not winning, it becomes a little easier to make that decision as well, right? So, like, if you're, where we are now, it's kind of like one of those things where you throw your hands up and say, "We might as well. It can't get worse." So, we'll see what we got. I kind of go both ways, right? Because part of me is like, let's go with the other kid, and then part of me is also like, let's go down with the ship. Who knows? I couldn't tell you which way this thing is going to go. I know that this is the year that we were going to give grace. Next year, we gotta start doing some things.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you on that one. Ben is asking when the first basketball show of the season is. Technically started last night. We recorded with head coach Dustin Kearns of App State basketball. So we do have that one out. It was a recording. It wasn't a live show. We probably won't do live shows on basketball just quite yet. We'll have to see when we roll that out, because there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to do in the background with recordings, with interviews from people from some of the conference members. So we got some stuff coming out for you, and it's in the background right now. But we've got a lot of stuff coming out on sunbeltsyndicate.com, so be sure to check us out there. And Neil mentioning that Isaiah Cummings, tight end, out for the season officially. That came out earlier this week. Terrible to hear and see. Definitely wish him a speedy recovery. Unfortunately, as soon as I saw it, I knew it was a long-term injury, and he likely wouldn't be back out for the team. So that's unfortunate, but hopefully he comes back stronger than ever. That was the tight end they transferred in from Kentucky. So we'll see what happens moving forward with this Mountaineers team and how they finish out the season. Neil thanking us for a good show with Kearns, and yeah, he was a great guest. So if you haven't checked that one out, that's not just for app people, by the way. A lot of this beginning stuff is just about college basketball in general and the landscape of how things are currently looking. So I think everybody could find some interest in that one. With that being said, for Dominick Crosetto, Mr. TJ Courman, we will see you guys next week.